This kind of confirms to me, though, based on the qualifying offer, the 2-year offer, and the 4-year offer. Those are just projections, not what he's actually been offered. It kind of confirms to me that him and his camp are either willing to take shorter term for more money or longer term for more money overall, but less money per year.
You are Locked On Yankees, your daily New York Yankees podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Yankees, which is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making us your first listen every day. I'm Stacey Gotsulias. He's Brian McKeon. We've been hosting the show together for 2 full seasons, and between the two of us, we've been covering the Yankees for close to 2 decades, which is kind of amazing considering you've only really been alive for barely 3.
I think this is the most exciting offseason we've covered together.
Yes, so far. Yeah, I would agree. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app, so download the app today. On today's show, more players are having their options declined or picked up. We'll tell you it's a long list. We'll tell you that in segment 3. The Yankees had some decisions to make, so we're going to tell you about that in segment 2. But first, here's another decision that we think the Yankees should make. And Brian, tell everyone your thoughts about the Trent Grisham, I wouldn't say conundrum, but let's call it a conundrum.
Yeah, so the Trent Grisham thing is interesting because he was kind of a throw-in in the Juan Soto trade 2 seasons ago. And I think last year 2 years ago, and that's what I mean by last year, they didn't have full belief in him, and they didn't play him full time, and they didn't really let him kind of get to his full potential. There were times where they played him and he played really well, but they never really let him get to that point. And then last year they played him full time in center field, and he gave you a career year. He gave you a full-time major league starter who's a really solid player. It does feel like the consensus around Major League Baseball, though, is that Trent Grisham is more somewhere in the middle of where he's normally been. He's not as good as he was last year. He's not as bad as his worst seasons. Right. He's somewhere in the middle, which I don't know if the Yankees should be interested in that player at this point in where they are in time. Right now, FanGraphs has his projected contract to be 4 years, $47.2 million. That's 11.8 per year for a longer-term deal. I don't hate that AAV-wise. The Athletic has 2 years at $30 million. And the 1-year qualifying offer for him was $22 million. The Yankees have declined that offer, which is the right move. You're not going to give him $22 million a year.
Right.
This kind of confirms to me, though, based on the qualifying offer, the 2-year offer, and the 4-year offer. Those are just projections, not what he's actually been offered. It kind of confirms to me that him and his camp are either willing to take shorter term for more money or longer term for more money overall, but less money per year.
Right.
That they're okay with either or. Now, most baseball players would rather have the term and the years, because that means they're locked up for longer. And plus, with a guy like Trent Grisham, I do think 4 years is the max that he would take because he's 28 years old. So he'll get to 32 and hope to get another contract at that point. He's not going to take longer than that because it's harder to parlay that into a new contract when you're 33, 34, 35 years old. Teams aren't willing to give you a longer-term deal at that point in time. I want to ask you this question before we get into the numbers of what he's done and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't last year 34 homers, 70-plus RBIs, doesn't it feel like sort of a flash in the pan kind of thing when you look at the rest of his numbers throughout his career?
Yes.
And I don't know if it's worth investing a multi-year contract in a guy who gave you a career year. Right. Sometimes the best move to make with a guy who gave you a career year is to shake his hand nicely and say thank you for your services and watch him walk out the door, make sure he doesn't trip on the way out. Like, I don't think you have to look you can look fondly on Trent Grisham's tenure as a Yankee, but overall, where's the higher percentage that he returns to Trent Grisham of 16 homers, 40 RBIs, 226 hitter, and returns to that normal player? Or does he stay at 34 homers, 70 RBIs? It's probably closer to the first.
Right.
So I don't know if you're willing to give that guy a multi-year deal when you're in the window you're in. That's the argument that I want to make. If someone like the Tampa Bay Rays gives him the 4-year deal, I think it's a good deal for them. He'll go there. He'll be productive. The Brewers, he'd be a great fit for him. The Diamondbacks, a team that's could make a run and would like to get into the postseason and see what happens, but don't have these outrageous World Series aspirations for this year. I think if you're in the spot the Yankees are in right now, he doesn't quite fit what they're trying to do at the moment. So I think that's why you don't go after him. It's not a knock on Trent Grisham. It's more of where they're at as a franchise currently.
Plus, the Yankees have been burned by multiple guys who have had career years where they've given contracts to, and the contracts have just not panned out at all, where they've had
specifically
to,
in center field too.
Yeah, like release guys and
Aaron Hicks, Jacoby Ellsbury, to name a few. Jacoby Ellsbury is the Aaron Hicks they were more in love with Aaron Hicks. They loved his analytics. They loved everything about him.
Yeah.
Where he hadn't really given them that full term year yet.
I think we all saw the nightmare of Jacoby Ellsbury's contract as soon as he signed it.
And they didn't. To our credit, they didn't see it. They thought he was a stud and that was the 1 year with Boston. He had one career year with Boston, and they paid him a fortune for that 1 year.
Yep.
I just don't know if, and also too, he's a 218 career hitter, Trent Grisham.
Right.
So I think the numbers likely are going to drop a little bit. Also, I don't agree with this to the naked eye, and I think a lot of you listening are probably going to want to fight me back as soon as you hear this come out of my mouth. But it is the truth numbers-wise, and please take into account, I don't agree with this, but this is what the Yankees use to follow. Is advanced metrics when it comes to fielding have Trent Grisham as a below-average center fielder.
Yep.
My eye test doesn't agree with that. I thought he was a very solid center field. I think he's sometimes a little too nonchalant for my blood pressure's liking in the field, but he makes most of the plays out there. I don't know if he covers a tremendous amount of ground, but he makes plays out there. He's got a decent arm, but the advanced metrics say what the advanced metrics say, and that's what the Yankees go off of.
Yeah, that's a little worrying to me that he dropped off a bit, or a lot actually, in 2025. From at that age, you shouldn't be dropping off like that defensively. That shouldn't be happening for another 3 to 4, maybe even 5 years if you're a good center fielder.
Well, that should be, truth be told, that should be happening at the end of the 4-year deal that he wants.
Right.
So I don't know if, again, I don't agree with it eye test wise, and a lot of you watching might also feel the same way as me. But the numbers are what the numbers are, and the Yankees are strictly going after the numbers. That's how they handle everything. So that's another sign too. Also, I do want to mention this because whenever Aaron Judge struggles in the postseason, we don't let him off the hook. Whenever a pitcher struggles in the postseason, we don't let him off the hook. Same's got to be held for every other player too. And Trent Grisham last year was not good in the playoffs. He wasn't. He was 2 for 17 in the ALDS. He provided no power. He wasn't good in the postseason. So you have to hold him to the same standard you hold the other guys to. And if you're going to kill those guys for not performing in the postseason, you got to also kill Trent Grisham for it.
Yeah, he was a big reason why they lost, the pitching too, obviously.
Yeah.
But there were times during at least the last game against Toronto when they had a chance to kind of get back into it that none of these guys stepped up.
Yeah.
The only person who was really doing something was Aaron Judge. And some of these guys who were good all season just did not show up in the playoffs.
Yeah. And you know what? They don't have decisions to make on a lot of those guys going into next year, but they do have one on Trent Grisham. Yeah. And, the timing stinks for him, but there's more ways to upgrade this roster than to bring Trent Grisham back. And again, I like the player that he is, but I think he fits more a team that would like to compete and would like to be in a spot to win, but isn't in that immediate threshold right now. And a team that is like the Yankees, like the Dodgers, who are in an immediate win now mode, I don't think he fits what you're trying to do. Right. And especially if you're bringing him in, trying to, have him give you 24 plus homers, 25 homers, 30 homers. I don't know if you're getting that out of him. Right. I just don't.
I would agree with that. It was interesting because, as you said, with the defensive stuff, watching him, there were some instances where I thought, is he going to get to the ball? And he ends up getting to the ball. And then when I saw some of the numbers, I thought, ooh, and some of the stuff written about him after the season ended, or at least after the Yankees season ended, with, other baseball was happening. But some of the stuff that was written about his defense really stuck out to me. And I thought, well, that's not a good sign for someone his age.
But again, I was shocked by it too, because eye test doesn't suggest that.
Right.
I didn't notice glaring errors in the field. That they said that his speed getting to balls in the gap is something that dropped off drastically.
Yes.
I don't necessarily disagree with that, but I don't see a lot of blunders out there in the field. I don't
think
he's a
it's not necessarily like him being a butcher, but I think the numbers take into account those other second, almost, you can almost call them secondary issues because you don't really see them when you're watching it. You don't think about it when you're watching it. But then when you see someone writing about it, you're like, oh yeah, okay. Yeah, that's a good point that they're making.
So between the career average being under 220, between the power numbers never being remotely close to what they were this year, I think it's just time to, shake his hand, send an edible arrangement, and move on and cut ties.
Yeah, because you would hope the Yankees have learned their lesson about, don't trust a guy who out of nowhere has a career year and you think, oh yeah, let's give him like a 4-year deal. And then by the end of that 4-year deal, you're basically releasing him because he hasn't done anything in the 4 years.
I think they will learn their lesson too.
I hope so.
Because I do think the analytics are going to prove something to them here. Like, I think the fact that it analytically is against Trent Grisham here, I think hurts his case with the Yankees because they are so dead fast on the analytics. I think it actually helps them not sign him, if that makes sense.
Right. All right. Well, don't forget, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button on our videos, hit the notification so you know when our videos go up. You can also join the Locked On Yankees Insiders Club. For the listeners of our show, the link is in the description. If you're watching on YouTube, there is the QR code. We changed the corner of the screen, so it's closer to Brian than it is to me. And you can use that to join the Insiders Club. You get text from us. You can text us questions, comments, reactions to trades and signings. You also get top priority on Fan Mail Friday, which is tomorrow. So get those questions in, Insiders. We send out the lineups during the season, roster moves, breaking news, so you don't have to check social media. There's also a private Discord where you can commiserate with your fellow Yankee fans. There's a 14-day free trial. All right, so coming up, the Yankees say yes to Tim Hill and goodbye to Jonathan Loáisiga. We will discuss it all next.
The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel. It's the official sports betting partner of the NBA. And even if you miss the start of the game or you want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets available on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. The NBA slate was stacked yesterday. So many great matchups. Plus, the NBA Cup coming in mid-season. There's so many options to get involved with the National Basketball Association. Plus, plenty of futures bets available on FanDuel, too. Get involved any point throughout the season. It also keeps every game exciting, especially when your team is able to make that late-game push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head over to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel. It's the official sports betting partner of the NBA. What's up, guys? Every Friday, we answer your questions, and we're opening it up now to comments as well. If you're not a part of the Locked On Yankees Insiders Club, this is what you have to do. You go to the Locked On Yankees YouTube channel right here. Click on the post tab over in the corner right there. You'll see the latest post telling you to leave your questions and comments. Ask us about the Yankees or about baseball in general, and leave us comments about our show. Stacey's cat is also leaving us comments, as you can see, but she does it verbally. She doesn't feel the need to go to YouTube. You guys have to go to YouTube. The deadline this week is Thursday, November 6th at 5 p.m. Eastern. Stacey, some clerical bullpen moves were made early in the morning on Wednesday morning. Wednesday morning. Let's discuss. I don't think either of these are too big of surprises for us, but these two guys could wind up back on the Yankees at some point next year.
So the Yankees picked up Tim Hill's $3 million player option. That's an easy decision. He's reliable. He's when used correctly. And he doesn't cost anything. $3 million is a drop in the bucket for the Yankees.
Especially for a lefty specialist. They use him a lot. Like you said, no-brainer. This made too much sense, especially with he always wanted to come back last offseason, but they did kind of both go the distance on fighting over salary. Being able to get this done right now without having to is absolutely crucial. He wants to be here. They want him here. This is an easy decision for both parties.
Right. And then they declined Jonathan Loáisiga's $5 million player option. So he's officially a free agent. It's just, we talked about it on yesterday's show or the day before. We were talking about Loáisiga, where he's just never healthy. You think he's coming back and something else happens and he just has not lived up to the potential. Because at one point, and I've said this many times, I really thought he could have been the closer with the stuff that he had, but he just could not stay healthy.
100%. $5 million was definitely way, way, way too expensive to be paying for a player that you can't confirm is going to be healthy. Now, I wonder what the market looks like for him outside, right? The Yankees are the ones who know his health best. They know the condition of his arm the best. I wonder if they can get him to come back at a shorter term deal, because we've always known they love Jonathan Loáisiga's stuff. They've always loved his stuff. So if they can get Loáisiga to come back at a 1-year deal for the veteran minimum for $850, do you do it? Right? Do you bring him in? And that to me is an extremely high upside deal right there. You bring a reliever in of that caliber. If he's healthy all year, he's elite. And if he's not, okay, you didn't waste a lot of money. You let him walk the year after that. I just fear that some team that needs bullpen help will be willing to give him like $3.5-4 million, and they're gonna kind of take the further gamble that he's gonna stay healthy. I don't know if it will happen or not, but declining the $5 million option was an obvious choice for the Yankees. I do think they'll still kick the tires on bringing him back at a cheaper price, though.
Yeah, I say it all the time. I just feel so bad for him because it's just
stuff's there.
All these different
stuff's there. The velocity's there. The movement's there. Like, he's got the full package of stuff for a reliever. It's just putting it together for a full season and being healthy for a full season has been his major bugaboo. And unfortunately, the best ability that you have is availability, and he's never there.
Right. So the bullpen right now: Bednar, Hill, Cruz, Doval, Mark Leiter Jr., F. Ross. I think, Brett Hedrick will be there. I guess. And possibly Alan Winans, but I don't know about that. And then the free agents. Yeah, I would think so. The free agents, Devin Williams, Luke Weaver, Paul Blackburn, and Ryan Yarbrough. I wouldn't mind them bringing back Yarbrough.
That's a good point, especially as a long relief guy.
Yeah.
Like, he can make the spot start here and there. Yeah. I don't think Yarbrough is the worst move to bring back either, and it won't cost a lot at all.
Right.
There will be upgrades to this bullpen.
Oh, yeah.
I actually wonder if they keep Mark Leiter Jr. It feels like he fell off out of graces with them in the postseason. They really lost all trust in him late in the season. Yeah. They didn't use him in the postseason at all. I think they like his stuff and the spin rate, particularly. Everyone talked about Mark Leiter Jr., but he came over as a strikeout specialist, Stacey, and he has not been that with the Yankees. I love the story, but I don't know if Mark Leiter Jr. is long for this team. And if you have an option to significantly upgrade the bullpen or go with Mark Leiter Jr., I think you choose the upgrade.
Right.
I don't know if they trust him as one of their main guys. And right now, what is he, the fourth top reliever? Probably 5.
I would say 5.
Yeah, 5. That's not that. You don't want him being your 5th best reliever, because in a postseason series, sure, but in the regular season, these guys get hurt all the time, Stacey. Like, right. Like your 5th reliever has to be your 3rd, because that's just how it works.
Because I would think it would be Bednar, not in this order, but the first 4 would be Bednar, Hill, Cruz, and even Doval. And then you even have Jake Bird, who was working his way back from...
Who I think will make it back, and I think a full offseason with Matt Blake released. They basically said that once they got him from Colorado, that was a passion project for Matt Blake.
Right.
Loved the spin rate, loved what Jake Bird had to offer, but didn't know if it was all clicking in Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why when they got him, they had no problems with sending him down to the minors. Work on your stuff down there. You're not here for 2025. You're here for the future, so we can develop you into the arm that we think you can be. Yeah. So I think he'll be a part of this bullpen. The Doval one is interesting.
Yeah.
Because if they see something in Doval and they think they can kind of revamp what he was in San Francisco, Stacey, there's some serious potential there with the movement his slider has and the 102-mile-an-hour fastball. There's some serious potential for this kind of stuff that he could have. So that's an interesting one. They obviously love Fernando Cruz, and his stuff's been good. He's a little older, and he did have an injury problem last year too. Let's not forget that too. He did miss most of the year last year. So you got to worry about those kind of things too. The only guy that I wouldn't be remotely worried about is Tim Hill and David Bednar. Right. Because Hill's only facing lefties for the most part, and Bednar is just a bulldog.
Right.
And I love the face that he made right there, because he should have been facing a lefty in the World Series 2 years ago. But Bednar just wants to eat a raw steak and go out there and throw 100 and go home. So yeah, and I love that for him. That is the guy that we want. So
yeah. He'll
be their closer.
I would expect the Yankees bullpen to be better in 2026 than it was in 2025, because there were a lot of weird things happening in 2025. Like, certain guys just couldn't get things going. Certain guys had injuries pop up. And I think that Everyone talks about how terrible the bullpen was. It's like, yeah, there were a lot of circumstances that made it terrible. But if you looked at the bullpen and the guys that they had, you wouldn't think it was terrible. You know what I'm saying? Like, yes, things didn't work out the way it should have. But if those guys were doing what they were supposed to be doing and not getting hurt, that's one of the best bullpens in baseball. It just didn't work out that way.
I'll tell you all this too, though. I don't think there's a chance they're going to be involved in one of the high ticket guys. So before you start flooding our comments with, go after Edwin Diaz, go after Suarez, that they're not going to be in on. I don't think since Chapman, I don't think they're ever going to be involved in one of those high relievers for 25 million plus a year. I don't think they're ever going to be in that. The only time I think that they're going to get involved in that is if it's a homegrown talent that finally hits free agency that they feel they need to protect and keep. That's when they'll pay the big money. I don't think they're ever going to be going out in the free agent market and spending a lot of money on a reliever because they've proven they don't need to do that.
Right.
They can develop relievers and they can find guys. They don't need to go do that.
Right. Because there are some arms down in the system too that are working their way up. So they don't really need to do that. And Bednar is perfectly fine. He comes out, he does his job. He has his flashy.
Quickly, Edwin Diaz turned down $20 million a year on his extension. And Robert Suarez had 2 more years left at $16 million a year.
That's a lot.
If Mariano Rivera, if this were 2000 and Mariano Rivera were a free agent right now, what the heck would he get? Like, seriously, like, look at the regular season numbers, the postseason track record.
Well, I'm trying to remember what the contracts were back then.
Now, there's no way that he was signing anything close to like high value, but like
no, definitely not.
Could you imagine what he would? And they'd have to pay it to him,
right?
But what would he be able to command? 25, 26? Because he's worlds away better than anyone else. There's no competition to him,
right?
It just made me think like that would have been some freaking contract.
Yeah, definitely. All right, well, coming up, more players had their options picked up. Others had their options declined. We're going to tell you all about it next.
This episode is brought to you guys by PrizePicks. You and I make decisions every single day, but on PrizePicks, being right can actually get you paid. Don't miss out on the excitement of this sports season. Whether you're following the NFL, NBA, or both, there's no better time to jump in on the action. If you haven't tried it yet, PrizePicks is the simplest way to play. Just pick more or less on at least 2 player stat projections. And if you get them right, you win. It takes less than 60 seconds to make up your lineup, and you can play anywhere PrizePicks operates, including California, Texas, and Georgia. Now, I've been using PrizePicks during both football Sundays and NBA tip-offs. It keeps everything exciting. I like picking my favorite players like Mahomes or Steph Curry to see how my predictions wind up playing out. Plus, the new stacks feature, it's a game changer. You can now pick more or less on Steph's points, threes, and assists, all available in the same lineup. Plus, if one of your players leaves the game early with an injury, the injury reboot feature saves your lineup from a loss. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKED on MLB to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKED on MLB for $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. Stacey, a ton of news breaking midweek on Major League Baseball right before we hit free agency. And Thursday, today, is the deadline at 4 p.m., I believe, for contracts to be tendered, non-tendered, to be options to be picked up or not picked up. So probably a few more options that'll be coming down. We have everything updated as of up until Wednesday night for you guys right here. First of all, though, on an injury-related note, kind of sad news coming out of San Diego.
Yeah, I don't think we got to discuss this, but Yu Darvish will miss 2026 after having surgery to fix a torn UCL and flexor tendon. So he's getting the brace in his arm, kind of like what Garrett Cole got. Just, I mean, does this mean the end for him? Because he's up there in years, you know?
Yeah, how old is he right now? He's got to be in his mid-30s at least, right? He's had a really solid career, and like when he's on, he's one of the top guys in the league. He's 39.
Right.
Wow,
yeah.
That's older than I thought he was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I'm like, yeah, no, he's up there. He's there. People were talking about how he would be 41 by the time he came back.
And he's 5-5 with a 5.38 ERA last year. Only gave them 15 games. He did come back mid-season. That kind of stinks too that he came back mid-season and then wound up getting hurt. Solid career. Some really good years that he had in there. The one year with the Cubs where he was absolutely great. This is his second Tommy John surgery, too. He had it in 2015 as well.
Yeah.
He came to the league in 25 years old, 38 now. He had a solid career, Stacey.
Yeah.
I think it's probably over, though.
I think so, too. Because
By the way, I didn't realize this, just looking at his Baseball Reference.
Yeah.
He's 6'5", 220. He's a big dude.
Yeah.
I didn't realize Yu Darvish was that big.
I didn't realize that either.
Yeah.
I knew he was thin, but I didn't realize he was 6'5".
Yeah, neither did I. That's a big boy.
Well, the next guy is also tall and thin.
Also over 2,000 strikeouts for Yu Darvish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Chris Sale had his option exercised. Chris Sale, who's like 6'6" and like 180.
Soaking wet.
Who could get blown away in a strong wind gust.
Yeah.
But you don't want to be around him when he has a pair of scissors or if there's a TV in the clubhouse that he wants to destroy.
What a crazy story that was.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah.
This was a club option they picked up for $18 million. Probably worth it, though, right? Winning the Cy Young last year. He missed a lot of 25, but who didn't on the Braves?
Really?
I don't hate that deal at all to bring him back. It is a weird career that he's had, though. Got traded over from the White Sox to the Red Sox in that massive deal. It was a huge splash. Had a couple of unbelievably dominant seasons with the Red Sox, and then kind of faltered off. You kind of thought he was kind of dying off, and then he reinvented himself in Atlanta.
Yeah.
You think he's a Hall of Famer? Multiple Cy Young awards, World Series. He's probably really up there in strikeouts.
I would
think really good strikeout numbers.
I would think probably. He might be one of those guys that they don't pick the first time, but I think he'll get in.
He has to go through a couple times.
Yeah, I think so. You know, the
2,579 strikeouts as a lefty. That's pretty impressive.
Wow.
Yeah. 301 career ERA. Yeah. He might get in.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff.
So the Braves also exercised the club option on Ozzie Albies. So
one of the dumbest contracts ever signed.
Yeah, well,
I mean, whoever if it's the same agent that handles all those Braves players, they must have dirt on all of their young players when they give them these. Have you seen? You've noticed this, right? The Braves young players contracts, they're all making way below market value.
Oh yeah, I don't.
Austin Riley, Ozzie Albies, even Acuna makes nothing close to what he deserves.
Right.
There's some weird stuff going on there in Atlanta.
Yeah. This was interesting. Shane Bieber exercised his, well, I mean, it's not that interesting, but he exercised his player option to stay with the Blue Jays.
Didn't you think he was going to opt out and go for a longer term deal? Like, I kind of thought once he showed that he was healthy and could somewhat show the past Bieber was still in there.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to opt out and look for a longer term deal from somebody.
Maybe he liked making the World Series and thinks that the Jays can get back there.
I know, but I mean, why not approach the Jays and say, hey, give me a multi-year extension at a good price? I'm shocked that he took the one year deal. I think everybody kind of thought he was going to opt out of this deal.
I think so too. I think people were like, whoa, really? Okay. You know, Blue Jays fans were happy about it. They thought it was cool and saw a lot of posts about it with Justin Bieber's baby attached to it in Instagram, which I thought was, well, all right. I'll admit that when Shane Bieber first came up and I saw his name, I would always think in my head, that song, I'm not going to sing it. So, because that's how my brain works. Speaking of, you were talking about extensions. The Royals signed Salvi Perez to a 2-year extension. He's turning 36 in May.
He's somehow only 36.
Yeah. I
thought he was like 40.
I know. I thought he was older too. Like a couple of years ago when I found out that he was only, 33 at that point, I thought, what? I thought he was at least 38 or 39 because it felt like, well, he's been around forever. And he was one of those guys who looked older when he was younger. So I always thought that he was way older than he actually is. Yeah.
Franchise icon. They love him there. He loves it there. No brainer.
Yep. The Padres declined options on Elias Diaz, Tyler Wade, old friend Tyler Wade, and Kyle Hart.
I'm shocked that Tyler Wade is still in the league.
Yeah. Tyler Wade and his eyebrows and his smooth sliding skills. Harrison Bader declines mutual option with the Phillies.
He'll get a deal somewhere. People love his game. He'll have no problem getting a deal somewhere.
2 items from the Red Sox. They declined their mutual option with Liam Hendricks, and then Trevor Story declined his opt-out, and he stays with The Red Sox.
That the story one I found interesting. I feel like on his sake, he's opting in because he knows his injury history. And he's kind of afraid he's going to get hurt again, and he wants to keep the guaranteed money. However, with the deal he had with the year that he had last year, we had a pretty good year and he stayed healthy.
Yeah.
I would have thought there was a chance he'd opt out because he thinks someone would give him a deal. So
Right.
I think he's probably not banking on his long-term health going forward. Probably a smart move on the player and agent side right there. That could be another name the Yankees are interested in, though. Liam Hendricks. The stuff is there.
Another
It's
project.
been there for a while.
Yeah.
Another project, but Matt Blake loves that, and the success stuff is there. Like, he's had major league success. That's a name I'd watch out for the Yankees because it would be a little bit on the cheaper end, too.
Right. Martin Perez declines mutual option with the White Sox, so he's
Good for him.
available. Jack Flaherty exercised his player option to stay with the Tigers.
Little surprise there, too.
Yeah.
I don't. To me, this is signaling the starter market is not going to be deep when it comes to long-term deals, but the reliever market is.
Right. It's going to be definitely more of a reliever market this offseason. And then the Brewers announced decisions on 3 options. Rhys Hoskins and Jose Quintana both had mutual options declined, so they're now free agents. The club also turned down a club option on William Contreras, who remains under club control via arbitration.
Yeah, and he's going to be probably a big arbitration number. So he's going to get a big. He probably prefers them to decline that option because he's going to get a big number in arbitration.
Yeah.
He had a great year last year. Rhys Hoskins, isn't it wild to you how he was one of the Phillies' top prospects, came up, played well for them, and then he tore the ACL in that playoff game, and he's never remotely been the same player.
No.
You kind of got to feel bad for guys like that. And Jose Quintana is a different one. He feels like one of those guys who will never not be in the league.
Right.
He'll be
Right.
pitching forever for somebody.
Yeah.
Well, he'll be with the Marlins next year. You'll give him 180 innings, 4.16 ERA, 13 wins, 11 losses. You just see it.
Yeah. Yeah. So those are all the options, and
I'm sure we'll have
declined
more to
and
add throughout
picked
the
up.
week.
And yeah. It is fun though this time of year when you have MLB trade rumors open, you refresh the page, you look at all the different teams, you just make sure you didn't miss anything. So
Nonstop.
yeah,
Nonstop.
it's that time of year. So tomorrow's Fan Mail Friday. Get those questions in. Again, if you're on YouTube, go to our channels page, click on the post tab, and we are opening it up to comments as well. So not just questions. So if you have comments to make about the Yankees that you think will generate a conversation, feel free to do that. So you have until Thursday, later today, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to get those questions/comments in. And we appreciate you guys leaving all those comments and questions for Fan Mail Friday, because we have a good thing going every week, right?
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, it's great.
Favorite part of my week.
Yeah. All right, well, thank you for making Locked On Yankees your first listen today. For your second listen, find Locked On MLB. Baseball guru Sully brings you a daily blend of humor and baseball, keeping you updated on every rumor and story throughout the offseason. Find Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. So that'll do it for this edition of Locked On Yankees. I'm Stacey Gotsulias.
And I'm Brian McKeon. We'll catch you tomorrow for Fan Mail Friday.